ونقول مساكم الله بالخير باليوم الثاني من فعالية ايكونز اوف بورشه في دبي. اليوم الفعالية شوية اهدى، احنا جايين وايد مبكر. جيت الظهر قلت قبل الزحمة متفق مع الجماعة في بورشه جلوبال ان ودي اقابل مصمم الكاريرا جي تي. امس كان الوضع وايد زحمة ووايد ناس وكذا، فقالوا لي تعال اليوم، تعال الظهر. متفقين الحين، انا بانتظارهم عند السيارة على اساس ان شاء الله راح تكون في مقابلة. مجهز له كم سؤال نقدر ندردش ونسولف وياه فيهم، وخلينا نشوف. ما انا بانتظاره، اول ما يوصل ان شاء الله راح نصور لكم اللقاء. طبعا اعتقد كلكم تعرفون ان هذه السيارة تعتبر واحدة من السيارات السوبر كار، السيارات اللي كانت ليميتد اديشن، نزلت تقريبا 1270 حبة. ولكن انطلاقة هذه السيارة كانت نوعا ما شيء غريب. ليش؟ لان الانجن مالها ال 5.5 لتر 10 سلندر تقريبا 610 620 حصان. هذا المحرك بالاساس تم تطويره وتم بناءه على اساس انه يكون ريسنج انجن. اكو ناس تقول ليمون واكو ناس تقول فورمولا 1، ولكن اللي نعرفه ان صار لا هذا ولا هذا، صار الموضوع حق سيارة شارع. هذه السيارة بالتحديد لاحظوا مكتوب عليها بورشه ميوزيوم. هذه معناتها السيارة مالت المصنع، لا هي سيارة شخص ولا هي سيارة شركة، هذه سيارة مصنع بورش. طبعا بورش عندهم مئات السيارات بالمصنع، كلهم في حالة in perfect condition، نظافة تامة ويحافظون عليها، وعندهم أشخاص مختصين ميكانيكيين يشتغلون على السيارات. أرجع أقول لكم أنا بانتظار شخص جدا مهم في عالم السيارات، غرانت لارسون، يعتبر هو المصمم مال هذه السيارة. نقدر نسولف وياه، مجهز له كم سؤال، ننتظره ونكمل التغطية. شباب اعتقد الموضوع صار صدق. الشخص اللي وراي هذا هو مصمم السيارة، والمصنع فتحوا لنا الباب وقالوا لنا قعدوا داخل خلصوا الانترفيو. whenever you're I'm ready. I'm waiting for you guys. You have the key or do you? Thank you.
Well, I didn't work on the interior, so.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
Okay. So first of all, allow me to introduce you in Arabic.
Sure.
And then we'll continue in English.
Okay. How's my hair?
You can take a look.
Looks okay.
Or if you
I have this mirror here too. Don't want to make a bad impression. That's okay.
Okay. So أنا الحين مع غرانت لارسون. غرانت لارسون is the designer for the Carrera GT. First of all, hi. As I was just saying, sitting in a Carrera GT by itself is an achievement, or is something huge. Let alone interviewing the man who actually designed the thing. I do have a couple of questions here. What do you keep in mind when you start designing such a big project? Because before designing the car, you actually know how huge this project is.
Oh, that's correct.
Yeah. So what comes into a designer's mind?
Well, first of all, I want to point out that okay, my attendance at this event and here in front of the Carrera GT, I was like a relevant participant in the design of the Carrera GT.
Okay.
But you also have to give credit for the other team members that also participated. I was in the very early phases of the project.
Okay.
Working on the show car, and the production feasibility was taken over by Tony Hatter, a colleague of mine.
Okay.
And the interior was done by a designer called Hugh Robinson.
Okay.
So we're sitting in the interior, and I'm talking about other people's work, but
yes.
I can explain very much whatever you need to know about the car.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
But going back to your question. Well, I always say that, you know, Porsche is built up around, it's our slogan, innovation and tradition. So we're always looking forward. I mean, we had this V10 engine in the late 90s, you know, from an ill-fated WSC 1999 project. So we had this engine, and it was Porsche's idea to build another supercar. And the time was right. This was like 1998, 99, right around 1999. right around the same time, we're working on other projects like SUVs and Cayenne. So you always needed something to sort of offset it. So through a lot of work and a lot of convincing of the board of directors, the Carrera GT program got started. And yeah, so where does it all come from, or where the inspiration? Like I said about the innovation tradition, we always go back and look at the race cars of the past. I mean, there's not, I don't want to say that this part was taken off of this car or this from another. There's a few things like the twin grills on the back of the car, that, you know, the two streamliners that we've had on various cars. There's visible engine components. I mean, you look inside the grill back there, which our ex-chief designer Harm Lagai calls negligés, which like fishnet stockings and things like that. So you're looking through and you're revealing things, but in a real sort of tasteful way. But so that's one aspect of the Carrera GT, is kind of like showcasing the technology, what's underneath the engine cover. And
one of the questions I think lots of people ask you this: how does it feel when you actually see your car down the road, or you see it in an event as an actual final production car? Well, maybe this is a pre-production because it doesn't have a number plaque. So, so how does it feel? Usually when somebody does some work and they see it being showcased here and there, they kind of feel proud. But you did something that they made 1,270 out of. So how does it feel?
Well, I think as a designer, in the initial stages of a project, when it's just starting to come together in a 3D, like a clay model, things are falling into place and it's full size, and you realize, okay, this is quite an impressive proportion, and then it really pumps up your emotions and things like that. But when
I think we'll have jet fighters or something.
Okay. And the second time comes around when then you have these phases throughout this clay model. And it's not a real car, but it looks like one. You know, it's got wheels and tires, and sometimes you can see through the glass, or you can't, because it's
depending on the stage.
But in the phase of the project. And then when it gets down to the point where it's a real car, it's a real running prototype, it's like, wow, that's it. That's it. You can see, there's suspension components, there's parts and early prototypes.
So here where it first hits you.
Yeah, that's when it's a real car. It's a real car. So it was like touch with a magic wand. And it just illuminated like Cinderella. That's the moment when it becomes for me a real car and a real project.
Okay, cool. And maybe I have two more questions. The first one would be the 5.5 V10 engine. Here, was it actually originally built as a race engine for Formula One? Or was it for something else?
No, it was for 1999 season, the WSC. There's also a Spider. 000 magazine had done an article on it. It's I think it was just called the WSC Spider project. That I think there was a regulation change or a refocusing of the company of PAG, of Porsche AG itself, that changed our path. And so we have this wonderfully unbelievable sounding V10 engine.
I hope we can hear it today.
With definitely motorsport background.
Definitely.
So what could be more appropriate than that? And nobody else had a V10 or mid-engine, let alone a roadster, when we did the show car. So it was a real groundbreaking project.
So the last question would be, you designed one of the cars that helped Porsche survive. So we're talking here about the Boxster, not the
little Boxster.
The little Boxster. So I'm sure that you feel very grateful and very proud of your work, but designing that car, helping such a huge company and a company that people adore to survive and see where it is
where we are now.
How does that feel?
Well, it's a very fulfilling feeling. I mean, we've done the Boxster 25 years edition of the Boxster based on the 982. And that was just introduced just the beginning of this year. And in ramping up for that, we've done a lot of interviews and a lot of recordings, and it brought all of that, how do you say, vibe back from where we stood in like 1991, 92. And we were, I mean, the best word to describe it, we were really down in the dumps. There's management changes and shifts and like a nondescript direction. Model politics weren't sorted. But when Wendelin Wiedeking came in with technical development chief Horst Marchart, they came up with the concept of the two cars for one, you know, from the B pillar here on forward, as close as possible. It's all about saving money and all about saving the company. And so we really struggled at that time, and but we thought we had something. And as soon as that Boxster show car, that was my main project, probably one of my first projects that made a big bang here from the company. That changed the whole mindset of the public, the press, everything. They said Porsche is alive. Before that,
it was dying.
Before that, we were so unsure, unsure.
All right.
So it was a very good feeling. But I was one of many members. You know, you think of, I did the car that saved the company. I think everybody that worked on it, everybody saved the company.
Wow.
I give a lot of credit to Wendelin Wiedeking, to be honest, and Horst Marchart, and of course my boss, the guy at that time.
definitely.
And the interior designer. I did not do the interior design. That was done by Stefan Stark, very creative designer and a good friend of mine.
Okay, great.
I always have to give credit where credit is
due.
due.
That's the right thing to do. I mean, this by itself is a sign of success. So
Well,
I'm sure, I'm 100% sure that you hear this a lot. This moment is a very proud moment of me. I've been a Porsche fanatic since God knows when. I do have this social media platform that I like to share rare moments like these with people. I want to show them the experience, but by far nothing beats an experience of meeting the people that you don't usually meet. I mean, you meet owners, you meet maybe chief engineers or whatever, but designing the car, the people behind the philosophy of the looks that you have of the car, it's such a huge honor for me. Thank you very much, Grant, for that.
You. Well, it's also my honor.
Oh, thank you very much. Thanks a lot. And I couldn't sleep last night. I was like just writing questions down and preparing for this. Thank you very much for that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.